Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure showcase and review, we're going to be looking at, in all honesty guys, a very impressive figure. This is of course the Studio Series Transformers 1 Airachnid figure. So we're going to have a look at her in both of her modes, help you decide how you want to display her. We're going to have a look at her accessories and how you can use them in both modes. And of course we'll be doing some comparisons and some scale sizes with some other figures from the movie and indeed some other toy lines as well. Now before we get started, I'd like to remind anybody else who's not subscribed to the channel, if I'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, because it really will help me out. And once again to thank Indemand Toys via Hasbro for the loan of this figure to be able to do this video review on. However, I think she's out in some parts of Asia already. Right, first and foremost, let's have a quick look at the packaging, because she does come packaged in robot mode. And I just want to show you, I suppose, where the accessories are, and it does look to me like they've definitely gone back to the plastic bags rather than the paper bags, because her accessories were indeed attached to the inside there, and the backpack of her came down the back through there. Now I started with it in alternate mode purely just because it's easier, because the last part of the video when she's in robot mode, there is so much going on with the robot, it is crazy. The box is brilliant. It's just, I know, you just normal standard industry standard Studio Series box now, no numbers on them. To be fair, oh yeah, it does say Transformers 1. I was going to say it doesn't even say Transformers 1 on it, but it does. You may or may have not have noticed I've already uploaded the transformation tutorial, because it is 36 steps, which is a huge amount for a deluxe figure. It is very clever, and she is very intricate. She's very good, to be fair. That's enough of the packaging. Let's have a look at the actual figure itself. As I say, we've started off in alternate mode, and this is brilliant. Look, this will spin around completely unrestricted if you get them set right. There you go, which is great. The rotor blade there, everything sort of tucks together really well. I mean, I think the only thing that you can tell here is probably them. You might look at them and think they might be the legs. The rest of everything else, it's really well disguised. And what you can do is, I don't know if you're supposed to, if you wanted to, but you can maneuver these around a little bit. Of course you can move these back. You can see they're on separate hinges. As we've seen, that does spin around there. These are the guns that come wrapped up in that package. Now as you can see, they're just your standard 5mm universal ports. I presume, I'm going to check anyway, are they? Yes, they are completely blast effect compatible, which is brilliant, especially obviously because you can make it look like they're firing, and I imagine you could probably turn them that way and make it look a little bit like thrusters. Yeah, you probably could if you wanted to be fair. There you go. So that's how she could land, but that's just again me messing around. Overall, as I say, this particular mode, it's interesting. It's way more interesting than this one, which of course came out with the one-step changer, and of course this is what she appeared like in the movie. Now you can see that this is all supposed to be attached there, but there's so much, as I say, I'm pretty sure you can spin these round. Yeah, you could if you wanted to. You see, you've just got to angle it right, catch this little hinge there right if you wanted to. You can maneuver it up there. I love the fact that with toys you can do exactly that. You can mess around with it, you can spin around, put it in different modes, etc. Just exactly that, just to have a bit of fun with it. With regards to some other figures in size, I know it's not the same movie, but I'm just going to bring it in. Oh, what's happened to his wheels? It fell off. Let's spin it that way round. I've got too many figures down next to the side of me, and that's a casualty of one of them, obviously. So I mean, I know obviously this is thin compared to that, and that's all compact inside, but it's a huge deluxe figure in length. In fact, if I bring up, this is quite a big, and I know again totally different toy line, but look, you see this is obviously a Voyager. It's about the same size, but of course there's lots more going on the inside of that. Here's another little tiny deluxe, funnily enough, which again shows you how much bigger she is compared to that. Where have I just put that? That's the one I wanted to get. So there you go, much bigger I think as well than Prime, to be honest. Yeah, as I say, interesting looking. If I want to be, I suppose, a bit nitpicky, the only thing that I think with this that sort of lets it down is there's not much going on at all. When you look at it from this, what I mean by that is the colours. Of course you can see the reds under there. This, I suppose you could think, you know, when we saw them grey prototypes, when we first saw them revealed, you know, a few months ago, you could be forgiven for thinking that it's that, in honesty, because it is just very plain, but serves its purpose as far as I'm concerned. I think she looks great, but as you're about to see in a minute, her main, all her best attributes are in robot mode. So let's get her into robot mode and come straight back. Okay, we're back for the final time with her in a robot mode. Again, quick apologies, no transformation process on this video. I have uploaded a separate tutorial because it is kind of fiddly. And again, I want to keep the main length of the video down so we can spend the time looking at. To be honest, guys, this is an incredibly impressive figure, and hopefully I can do her a bit of justice because by my own admission, I'm not the greatest at posing figures. But let's have a look, as I say, just exactly that, how intricate and how clever she is. One quick thing to make a note of, and this has already been pointed out, funny enough, by the designer himself, is that these heels are the only things on the back of the calves which aren't true to how she appeared in the animation. And of course, the main reason for that, as you can tell, is to keep her balanced upright. But again, I give this with all figures. Any figures, if they've got gaps in the back of their legs, forearms, etc., all companies, if you can't see them from the front, then to be honest, it doesn't really bother me. And because you can't see them there, and I'm sure people will be forgiving enough that that is obviously going to be needed. Right, let's have a look at her head sculpt, which is brilliant. The eyes come down the side as well, which is fantastic. The just small amount of silver seems to really work in this particular mode. I had a little bit of a teeny moan that the alternate mode, there wasn't anything, you know, wasn't enough colour. But with this, just a bit of silver there, a little bit of purple. The red on the shoulders just makes her look brilliant. The forearms, as I say, the guns you can take on and off. I have kept them on during the transformation. Again, it is just, as I said in the first part, an industry standard 5mm port. With regards to articulation, the head will look up and down, and yes, it will go all the way around, completely unrestricted, no problem whatsoever. The shoulders, now the shoulders can be brilliant, but they can also be a little bit of a pain. So what I mean by that is there is limited movement there, and there isn't really much more movement there. If you move the back legs and everything out of the way, you can completely rotate it. However, if you slightly mistransform it, and I mean ever so slightly, see this part there, which I'm pulling out there, that goes in there. Now you've basically now got butterfly joints, which for her shoulders, which I think is brilliant. And all I've done is slightly, I've only pulled it out, what, about a millimetre and a half compared to that side. If you do that, you can do it carefully without there being a huge gaping hole. Of course, if you pull it all the way out, there's a huge gaping hole. But if you just go part way in on both of them, you've now got butterfly joints at the shoulders, which gives you a lot more range of motion and indeed a lot more play. That's if you wanted to. There's ball and sockets for the biceps, which mean they'll flex and spin around. The wrists are completely fused because they do fold into the forearms. There is no waist swivel, but there's ball and sockets at the top of the hips, as well as, well, which just give you that range of motion. You can as well, though, a bit like what you did with the shoulders, you can just slightly take the side hip armor, whatever it is, away, and you've got much more range of motion there. You've got the top of the thigh cut, you've got a knee bend, which is quite big, and then you've got the ankle tilt, kick forward, whatever you want to do. Hyperextending your knee, which shouldn't do that, but it's a robot, so I suppose it can. You can do that, no problem whatsoever. So again, quite a bit articulate if you use, I suppose, the joints and the things which are there. Back of the legs, though, here we go, craziness. Ball and socket at the top, one hinge here, one hinge there, same with that. So that's 1, 2, 3 hinges in a ball and socket on that. 1, 2, 3 hinges on this particular piece, and this whole part will spin around on a ball and socket on an extra part as well. So loads and loads going on. I've seen brilliant pictures of her arms around where they're slightly looking up, and then you can bring these legs around and down. You can rotate these, bring these around again, just to get these sort of arachnid style poses all going on. It's crazy what you can do with this. Bring these down as well. Again, just, I'm not the greatest, I'm going to do my best. This particular part here, as I say, it's up to yourself. I love the fact that you can just get things and indeed do that, muck around with them. You can condense them down if you wanted to and not have them too much going on at the back. You can pretty much tuck them away as well if you wanted to. So you could bring this down, hide this underneath there just for now, fold this over, tuck it on itself. And of course, if you wanted to, you can make the rotor blade at the back, so it looks like you can just sort of bring these around. With the calves, the way that they've been made, she does balance really well, even if you put loads of her legs and what you would think would probably knock her over. So if I can just disguise them hind legs at the back as well. So you see what I mean? You can disguise most of the legs there. You can bring the rotor blades up. You can touch them. You can maneuver all this around. This hinge gives you so much range of motion, so much play, and so many things that you can in fact do with it. As I just said, if you wanted to, you can maneuver it around like so. Let's have a go at doing this. See if I can get it to work. Move the lower leg out of the way. This should come over, and I'm pretty sure, because I did do it earlier, watch me not be able to do it now. Bring this over. Where's it going? on this hinge here, and of course you can join this together at the top as well if you wanted to. And if you wanted to, again, let me just get that right there, you could bring up the rotor blade from the back, and you could just set all that up as well if you wanted to, so you could have that at the top. In fact, let's do it while we're here, we might as well. It's not too difficult. Fold these to join together in there. That's going to clip into that. Open up this, and then you can rotate this like so, and you can of course fit your rotor blades in to the back like so. As I say, things to have a play around with, and that's what I like doing, playing around, mucking around with the figures. Let's get this clipped back together. I've just knocked over something I was going to do a comparison with, but I'll pick it back up in a second. I'm just going to bring all these around and then bring a few other figures in, tap that in there just to give you an idea again of her size. Now, I did quickly read on TF Wiki as well that the reason why the figure is a little bit smaller than perhaps she should have been is because the figure was made or the scale was given to the people who designed the figures before the final, I suppose, size for her was decided. So maybe that's why she's a deluxe, and maybe that's why she's not a Voyager. Who knows? I'm not too sure myself, but that's what I've just read. So I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to flip that around, bring that around again, and then, as I say, sort of adjust these so it looks like it's going to come over this side and stand. I imagine the only other negative thing, let's be honest, with all of these going on the back of her and on the side of her, she's going to take up a lot of shelf space, isn't she? I'm pretty sure she is. I've got her legs all wrong now. Right, stand up for me ish. There you go. Right, let's bring in some other figures to give you an idea. So I knocked over Barricade, so we might as well stand there. That's another deluxe figure. I know, totally different toy line. This is your Studio Series, I was going to say 86, but of course it's not. It's your Transformers 1 D16. Let's put Prime on the opposite side. Prime's quite a big one, to be fair. Prime is quite a nice sort of size deluxe there. This isn't, I think this is mainline Bumblebee, to be fair. Again, just giving you an idea of mixing up some of the figures of her size. So let's bring in some other Bumblebees, etc., other movies. She towers above that figure. Completely towers above that figure. Again, different toy lines, but most people have Optimus Primes, hence why I bring in Optimus Prime figures for people to do comparisons with, because at least people can relate to the size of an Optimus Prime. So I think overall, as I say, for a deluxe, a lot of playability, a lot of fun, lots of things that you can do with it, loads of ways that you can pose it, as I say, way better than what I probably can as well. But hopefully I've got across that you can see that the areas need to tap that back in. Multiple things that you can do with these multiple limbs to how it suits you, how you want her to display. In fact, that looks pretty cool like that, and I've just basically fluked that, just trying to tidy it up. Anyway, you let me know what you think in the comments though. I think she's a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.